I'm going to talk about what the Quran is today, the content of the Quran, the spirit of the Quran. Some people who look at others' Muslimism and opposed to the religion of Islam that was informed by Muhammad, the Rasul of Allah, may peace be upon him, often ask the following criticizing question, mainly because of their failure to read the spirit of our holy book, the Quran. Here is those people's criticizing question.
Hz. Muhammed
came some 1400 years ago as a prophet to a society of about 5,000 people. The majority of those people had a primitive level of understanding. According to their customs, people buried their daughters alive in the sand and killed them at their early ages because the men believed they would cause shame for their fathers when they grow up. Women could be sold and bought countless times like articles of trade, as they were not regarded as humans and they had no civil rights at all. Of course, in such a society, the questions and the problems had taken form according to the established level of understanding. Therefore, the solutions for these questions and problems have been the basis in the formation of the Quran. If Prophet Muhammad had come to the world in the North Pole, for instance, instead of his area of birth, the book he was going to communicate at his time of prophethood would take form according to the questions and problems within the social conditions, customs and traditions of Eskimo people. As the same book also informs that neither any other prophet nor any other book will come after itself. In this case, how can the people of our age be controlled with those rules set up for the conditions of such a community living at that obvious level of understanding? Wouldn't those rules make this book useless for our day, let alone reaching beyond the coming centuries? How can it be possible to speak to so many societies living all over the world today with the rules that have taken form in accordance with the current understanding of some 1400 years ago? Do you think that the Quran will allow people into heaven after it takes them back to 1400 years ago? Well, this is the question that late atheists submit from their perspective based on their level of knowledge and understanding. In my humble opinion, it may be true or false, but here is the answer to their question. For those who follow the spirit of the Holy Quran, it is a book that has all the information needed to enlighten people and to provide them with the bliss of hereafter as long as humanity survives. Furthermore, in most parts, it explains to people the information and life requirements that will benefit them forever, including even the dimensions of hell and heaven. It explains the truth of humans and what the name Allah refers to. In my previous discussions, I have made it clear that the information in the Quran in some parts originates from the perfect spiritual wisdom known as Nubuwwat, while the other parts from the perfect spiritual wisdom of Risalah, and that the information originated from the wisdom of Risalah will eternally rule and will be able to make people always gain new developments and advancements. The chapter of oneness and the chapter of opening in the Quran are examples communicated through the spiritual perfect wisdom of Risalah. However, the subjects such as marriage, inheritance, right of testimony, and retaliation originate from the perfect spiritual wisdom of Nubuwwat. They are to guide people's social life within a community, and those statements are helpful as long as a person lives in this world, because they disappear with persons passing away. Now let us try to perceive and understand the spirit of the Holy Quran. Is the Quran a book which has been communicated to us with an aim of taking people backwards towards the primitive life of centuries ago, to fix and lock them into that reverted way of life? Or else, does it guide people in preparation for the future and show them the ways of advancement, perfection, and turn them towards what is most perfect? Hazret Ali, whom I believe is one of the leading figures among those who have understood that great book best, has said that as a result of this understanding. Bring up your children not for the time that you have lived, but for the time that they will live. Such a futuristic lifestyle and a point of view ahead of its time belongs to a person who had spent all his boyhood and young years with Muhammad, peace be upon him, and who has obtained the spirit of the Quran from him. If we consider the statements that nourish societies through the fountain of Nubuwwat in the Quran, we can easily see that they are all aimed to verify the rights of womanhood for females, who had from early times until then been ignored as humans and treated as commercial sex materials. Treating them as commercial commodities has been disallowed. They have been provided with certain rights as a spouse, and their right of testifying as witnesses has been admitted while they had no voice in society before. And also their rights to take share from the inheritance have been established. Now please try to grasp that fact with understanding and insight. The Quran, regarding its spirit, has broad commands aimed to prevent us from getting stuck in the past, to stop us from going backwards, to eliminate injustice, unfairness, and to encourage people always to consider matters with respect to future conditions. When the Quran informs that He is in a new manner at every moment as a character trait of Allah, men have been asked to renew themselves in view of that. Believing that it may help to understand the Quran more realistically, I should point it out as my personal belief that, while bringing those commands, the Quran does not assert that you should not establish an equality by means of increasing women's rights, and you should not move forward. It doesn't say that you should stand still without advancement as you are, and let women remain as a second class. There is no such a word. While confining the right of possessing numerous women up to 4 as a progress, it warns, however, that it is much more beneficial to live with a single wife, and this is set as a goal. While we are informed that zakat is a minimum right for other people, it is besides considered exemplary to share what is in your possession as much as possible in terms of charity. I mean, these rights acknowledged for women are not their ultimate rights and are not limited there. They are the basics for the system of rights that should be developed in proportion with the evolution of the society, the men and the women together. Women who had no right of voice have been given the right to give testimony in company with another woman in a lawsuit. But this doesn't mean that this practice will remain the same forever. In my opinion, it means that the woman may have equal rights with men proportional to people's advancement. At least it has been made possible for women who had no right of voice to live as a human being and to give their testimony together with another woman. That means, in time, when you, as the members of the society, come to appreciate the value of women, when you start noticing that she too is a servant of Allah, like yourself, that she has a place on earth as a human and a caliph, you should not hinder her from having equal rights with men. If a society recognizes the right of testifying for one woman having equal rights with one man, it will never contradict with the spirit of the Quran in my understanding. And furthermore, this is more appropriate. While a woman who had no share in a heritage in the conditions of those days was provided with the right of having at least half as much as that of a man, it doesn't mean that, mind you, that a larger inheritance should be avoided. No, on the contrary, it is a